President Monson, may I claim a moment of personal privilege. As the first of the brethren invited to speak, following your singular message to the church this morning, may I say something on behalf of all your brethren, of the general authorities, and indeed on behalf of all the church. Of the many privileges we have had in this historic conference, including, especially, participation in a solemn assembly where we were able to stand and sustain you as prophet, seer, and revelator, I cannot help but feel that the most important privilege we have all had has been to witness personally the settling of the sacred prophetic mantle upon your shoulders, almost as it were by the very hand of angels themselves. Those in attendance at last night's general priesthood meeting and all who were present in the worldwide broadcast of this morning's session have been eyewitness to this event. For all the participants, I express our gratitude for such a moment. I say that with love to President Monson and especially love to our Father in heaven for the wonderful, wonderful opportunity that it has been to be eyewitnesses, as the Apostle Peter once said. Thank you. Now, in General Conference last October, I said there were two principal reasons the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is accused erroneously of not being Christian. At that time, I addressed one of those doctrinal issues, our scripturally based view of the Godhead. Today, I would like to address the other major doctrine which characterizes our faith, but which causes concern to some, namely the bold assertion that God continues to speak His Word and to reveal His truth, revelations which mandate an open canon of Scripture. Some Christians, in large measure because of their genuine love for the Bible, have declared that there can be no more authorized Scripture beyond the Bible. In thus pronouncing the canon of Revelation closed, our friends in some other faiths shut the door on divine expression that we in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints hold dear. The Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, the Pearl of Great Price, and the ongoing guidance received by God's anointed prophets and apostles. Now, imputing no ill will to those who take such a position, nevertheless, we respectfully but resolutely reject such an unscriptural characterization of true Christianity. One of the arguments often used in any defense of a closed canon comes from the concluding verses of the book of Revelation, where it says, "For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of this book, if any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book." However, there is now overwhelming consensus among virtually all biblical scholars that this verse applies only to the book of Revelation, not the whole Bible. Virtually every scholar of our day acknowledges a number of New Testament books that were almost certainly written after John's revelation on the Isle of Patmos was received. Included in this category are at least the books of 1st and 2nd Peter, Jude, the 3 epistles of John, and probably the entire Gospel of John itself. But there's a simpler answer as to why that passage in the final book of the current New Testament cannot apply to the whole Bible. That is because the whole Bible as we know it, one collection of texts bound in a single volume, did not exist when that verse was written. For example, for centuries after John produced his writing, the individual books of the New Testament were in circulation singly or perhaps in combinations with a few other texts, but almost never as a complete collection. Of the entire corpus of 5,366 known Greek New Testament manuscripts, only 35 contain the whole New Testament as we now know it, and 34 of those were compiled after 1000 A.D. The fact of the matter is that virtually every prophet of the Old and New Testament has added Scripture to that received by his predecessors. If the Old Testament words of Moses were sufficient, as some could have mistakenly thought them to be, then why, for example, the subsequent prophecies of Isaiah or Jeremiah, who follows him, to say nothing of Ezekiel and Daniel, of Joel and Amos and all the rest? If one revelation to one prophet in one moment of time is sufficient for all time, what justifies these many others? Well, what justifies them was made clear by Jehovah himself when he said to Moses, "My works are without end, and my words never cease."